All right, Candace, thanks so much for being on this podcast with me. I appreciate it. First off, just tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you started in the mental health space.
Yes, so hi, my name is Candace Jenkins. I'm a licensed mental health therapist and forensic social worker. I got started with mental health pretty much after grad school. I seen that there was an opportunity for associate therapists to learn how to start a private practice in addition to working with any clientele that you would want in your private practice. And so I did reach out to that organization and they got me started with setting up my business, and then I began working with clients with a variety of different needs.
hmm And so what kind of clients do you usually work with?
So I do work with adults, 18 and older. Primarily the clients that I work with, they are experiencing depression, anxiety, life transitions, end of relationships, just different points of their life they're in.
hmm And w what sorts of modalities do you use with those populations? Because you work with a lot of different populations.
Yeah, I do. So I would say I take a very integrative approach. I use a combination of evidence-based methods. So primarily I'm using cognitive behavioral therapy, referred to as CBT, solution-focused therapy, narrative therapy, in addition to motivational interviewing.
hmm So let's dive into one of the populations that you work with. You said that you work with people who are struggling with relationships, correct?
Yes.
So what do they sort of tell you? What sorts of themes do you notice when you encounter people that are going through those struggles?
Yes, the end of a relationship is a very trying time, and it's essentially grief. You're grieving the loss of a partner that's no longer there, and not necessarily due to death, but the norms that you guys have built, the community that you had with that person, that has changed when a relationship ends. So just trying to process what those emotions are, because with grief takes many different stages. You can be angry, you can be happy, knowing that someone's not suffering, or you can be upset and sad. And so I notice with the clients that I have, a lot of them are just going through different waves of emotions, and they're just trying to process, what does life mean now when I no longer have that relationship that meant so much to me?
hmm because how do you sort of, relate to, patients that are going through that struggle? Because oftentimes, in my search for a therapist, I had to find someone that was relational and could understand my point of view. So, but how do you sort of connect with them, like relate to your patients in that way of, in this particular example, with the relationship struggles and all that?
Yes, I think all of us, just as human beings, taking the therapist piece off of it, I've experienced loss of relationships, whether it be friendships, a death of a loved one, different things like that. And so I think on a human level, I can relate to that, and just also reaffirming, like, that feeling is normal. It's humanizing the feelings that people are feeling when they're experiencing loss. And sometimes it's important to self-disclose as a therapist. I do tend to do that when it is appropriate, just because I want my clients to understand that, yeah, I do know what you feel. I do know that you're sad. I do have that understanding of what you're going through.
hmm Do you also encounter folks, who have had, like step parents and people who've, lost a loved one due to an illness or an accident or
I have experienced that, not necessarily in the realm as a therapist, but I have experienced that working in other areas of social work.
Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so another area of social work that I work in, I work as a hospital social worker. And so I work a lot with patients that have been admitted to the hospital due to various medical conditions. So I've had time with patients that are struggling with their illness, but then while they're trying to recover and get better, someone that they love has passed away. And so now they're juggling their medical condition along with the grief of a loved one. And so a lot of the time, it's really just talking to them, hearing how they're feeling, talking about their loved one, what was significant about that relationship? What are some great memories that you remember? And also just giving them that space to sometimes cry. Sometimes there's nothing to talk about. It's just getting that emotion out.
hmm I've never heard of the term hospital social worker. It seems so new to me.
They
Yeah,
use different terms, different titles, social service specialist, medical social worker, different titles.
yeah. So it's just in the hospital setting, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so like what have you learned in doing this kind of work, both as a hospital social worker and what you're doing now?
There's so much I've learned. There's so many complexities with supporting clients that are in the hospital or working as a therapist. Everybody is in different points of their life. Everyone just really needs someone that's going to be available to listen to them. When it comes to being a therapist, I really take a integrative approach. Again, every modality doesn't fit every situation, and you have to be open to being able to switch and pivot. You have to be open to hold clients accountable, especially when they're working towards certain goals. I'm a very action driven therapist. So primarily the clients that I like to work with are the ones that are motivated and ready to work on changing, because change takes actionable steps for sure. And in the hospital, you have to be able to get along and communicate well with the treatment team. So that work has really taught me what that foundation looks like to collaborate with other disciplines.
And I want to touch in on another area that you focus on, which is motivational interviewing. What is
Yes.
that?
Motivational interviewing. A lot of people have a different title for it, or they say it's so many different things. They have so many different definitions for it, excuse me. But pretty much motivational interviewing, it's a therapeutic approach that is integrative and it's client-centered. A lot of the times you see that motivational interviewing is used with CBT in conjunction with solution-focused therapy, but pretty much motivational interviewing is a collaborative, goal-oriented style of counseling, and it helps clients to um, explore their ambivalence towards change. So through open-ended questions, reflective listening, and affirmations, clients are able to work on their own and uncover their own motivation and confidence to take the next steps to whatever their goals may be.
hmm So could you give me an example, like give me a taste of that is?
So do you want to do like a role play or just an
Role
idea of
play,
kind of what that looks like?
role play. I
Okay.
love role play.
Yeah, so let's see here. What can I do? You're having me think on the spot. Let's see here. So I would say we can do like, for example, it's more of a conversation piece. So
Uh-huh.
sometimes, for example, let's say there's a behavior that you're trying to change, and you may feel stuck or unsure about how to change that behavior. So, for example, let's say you smoke cigarettes and you're working on trying to change that behavior, but you've been doing it for so long and you're unsure why you should be changing that behavior. And so you may question whether or not that you can change that behavior due to low motivation, or maybe you're doubting that you will have the ability to change that. That's usually an example that I would share, for example. So it sounds like a motivational piece, I would say, is it sounds like part of you really wants to change smoking, but you don't feel like you're in control of doing that.
Um, well, to be clear, I don't smoke. So,
Yes, it's an example.
but yeah, but yeah, it would be sort of hard to change, yeah.
Yeah.
hmm well, what I would do is like figure out ways to not think about it, like do other more productive things, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. Yeah, that's a great idea. A lot of the times when it comes to motivational interviewing, there's a reflection piece of identifying, you want to start, for example, using the example of smoking. Maybe the client is identifying they want to take better care of themselves, but they're not so sure or they feel like they can't do it. And on my standpoint, it sounds like you really want to make changes, but another part of you feel like you can't do it. There's some self-doubt there. So there's a piece of reflecting, and acknowledging what the reflection is without showing judgment.
hmm
And then there's open-ended questions. You want things to be different. What does that look like for you? what would happen in your life if you no longer smoked? Or it could be anything that someone's trying to change. What does life look like for you if you were to do that? And then again, going back to ensuring that their self efficiency with that a client's able to identify, the pros of that change behavior, what benefits it's going to have for them, and then also supporting them and reaffirming, that sounds important to you, that you want to focus on your health and you want to make those changes.
Yeah. Yeah, whether that is going outside in nature, hiking and like I'm an outdoor person, so yeah, really like those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Socializing. Yeah, I really like the role playing aspect of it. It's really fun. Um, if I could ask this next question of, is there anything that you would like to learn in terms of something new as a mental health professional?
Yes, one of the things I'm still working on learning is supporting individuals that have terminal illness. I do work in the hospital and I have encountered patients that are experiencing a terminal illness and they're actively dying or they have 6 months to live. And so I really want to learn and focus more on how to counsel someone that is experiencing that. I haven't had anyone come to me in therapy that is needing to process that. But I think that's something that's really important, especially for the clientele that I work with. I do work with a lot of the geriatric population. And so that's something that has come of an interest of mine.
Mm-hmm. Was there like a mentor that you sort of looked up to that said, "Hey, I want to be like this person one day," or "I want to be a mental health therapist." I don't know what that was like for you.
You know what? I think I stole from a number of different people that I've encountered over the course of my time working in social services. I want to credit one of my best friends who had a conversation to me about going back to school. So if I can give a shout out to one of my best friends, Martha, she was the first one to really talk to me about going to grad school and getting my Master of Social Work degree. So I think if it wasn't for that conversation, I'm not sure if I would have went back to school. I also had the opportunity of working with someone at a nonprofit agency that was the deputy director, and she just was a jack of all trades. She was very passionate about the work. She did well with working with different community partners, and she was very aggressive with client advocacy. And I love the spunk that she had in the passion. So I think she was one person that really created a foundation for me.
Mm-hmm. And finally, what tips, advice would you give to those that are wanting to enter the mental health realm, just like you've had with your mentors?
Yes, I think it's really wonderful working in mental health, being a social worker. It is very amazing work. It's hard, but something about service is something great. So just knowing your why, knowing the populations that you want to support and serve, and just jumping right into the field, be open to learn because everything is changing on a regular basis, and we have to be able to adjust and be very individualized when it comes to working with clients.
Mm-hmm. All righty.